I can see Kyrie Irving leaving anywhere because he's an egomaniac. And he thinks he's the solution to everything.
I think it was just really heavy emotionally this season. We all felt it. I felt like I was letting the team down at a point where I wasn't able to play. We were trying to exercise every option for me to play, but I never wanted to just be about me. And I think it became a distraction at times. And, as you see, we just had some drastic changes. We lost a franchise player, and we got a franchise player back. But, we didn't get a chance to see him on the floor. And there was no pressure for him either to step on the floor with us either. You know what I mean? Like, Ben's good. We have his back. He's going to be good for next year. But now we just turn the page and look forward to what we're building as a franchise and really get tougher.
So I was working on another video that I guess I'm going to bring you guys tomorrow now, because making this video became my immediate priority, as I'm sure you guys understand why. I want to get this out of the way right now. I think that this offseason is going to be one of the craziest that we've ever seen, which means that I'm going to be working really hard to not only keep you guys entertained, but also informed. So if you guys could drop a like on this video right now and subscribe if you're new, it would definitely mean a lot. I have so much information to present to you guys that I actually want to do a little refreshing. May 17th, it was reported that talks between Irving, Marks, and Nets owner Joe Tsai had yet to happen. Marks basically said that he looked forward to the talks, but they had yet to have a conversation, but of course it was something that he looked forward to. The point of these talks would be to basically see where Kyrie's head was at this time. With Kyrie, sometimes there's just no telling, and this is coming from a Kyrie Irving fan. Now during this time, there would be a comment from Marks that stood out to me, and that was Marks saying that it wouldn't be right for me to comment on any hypotheticals that could happen because we don't know. We haven't had those conversations yet, but when we do, we'll see if the fit is right for both sides. This comment from Marks made it clear that the Nets still had a decision to make with Kyrie Irving. Marks would follow up this comment by saying, "We need people here that want to be here. They're selfless, that want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And there's an objective and there's a goal at stake here. And in order to do that, we're going to need availability from everybody." It's clear that if nothing else, Sean Marks and Nets ownership at least want to attempt to have some control over their locker room. What's been transpiring the past few years has been nothing short of a mess, and that has to be a slap in the face when you consider the hole that this team had to dig itself out of because of that infamous Boston Celtics trade. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but today it would be reported by Shams that according to sources, Kyrie Irving and the Nets are at an impasse in conversations about his future in Brooklyn, clearing way for the 7-time All-Star to consider the open market.
Is this First Take? I mean, you about to call it Comedy Central because I can't stop laughing. Let me get this straight. An impasse. This is a guy that missed 127 games over the last 3 seasons.
Apparently, the Lakers and Knicks are expected to emerge as potential suitors. The Clippers would also be included as a potential suitor. Now, in my opinion, potential suitors don't mean anything. What means everything is the fact that the contract negotiations have stalled. Now, guys, check this out. Kyrie saw all of this going down, went to Twitter, and absolutely nailed his response. The lack of words, the GIF usage, I don't know. In my opinion, I think he nailed it. If cryptic was what he was going for, cryptic is what he got. Let me know what you think his response means in the comments below. I've seen some people speculate that Kyrie is strictly considering turning down his player option with Brooklyn and leaving as a leverage play. And I can see why some people would assume that. But with Kevin Durant on your side, do you really need more leverage? That is, of course, if Kevin Durant is even still on Kyrie's side, and also if Kevin Durant is still indeed leverage. Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy to say, but remember when I told you guys that Sean Marks may be trying to regain control of the locker room? KD isn't leverage if you don't care about losing him. Everybody has a breaking point. There are a lot of moving pieces to this whole situation. I'm just trying to make sense of everything. Is KD leverage? To me, of course, but also KD's under contract for a while. If Irving wants to stay bad enough, he can always just opt in to $36 million. The but it's clear that he'd like something long-term, and being eligible for a $189.7 million 4-year extension or $245.6 million 5-year extension, I don't really blame him. The same way I don't blame the Nets for being hesitant to pay him if him seeking a long-term deal really is the case. Side note, the Nets being able to offer Kyrie this monstrous amount of money also brings into play potential sign and trade situations. I can't overstate the fact that Marks is in a tough spot. Though Brooklyn was able to recoup some picks in the Ben Simmons trade, they gave up a lot of their own picks for James Harden. Some Rockets fans have a bad taste in their mouth because of the way that Harden exited, when I think that him leaving at the time that he did was one of the best things that he could have done for the franchise. Anyways, before I babble on too much about Harden, let's go back to May 25th, because May 25th, Christian Winfield dropped an article that's incredibly relevant to everything going on right now. According to Winfield, last summer, a source familiar with the inner workings of the Nets roster said that James Harden would leave Brooklyn, followed by Kyrie Irving, then ultimately KD, a purported course of events that would undoubtedly send the Nets back to the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings after just 3 seasons in the spotlight. In the same article, he would also highlight the fact that if Kyrie left, Brooklyn wouldn't have the ability to replace Kyrie with another star due to their cap space. This in return could lead to Kevin Durant growing increasingly frustrated with the Nets front office. If Durant were to force his way out after Kyrie, I really don't think there would be too many people that would be surprised. These are 2 players that have a clear relationship and decided to team up in Brooklyn to play together. Here's your friendly reminder that a month ago there were reports saying that Kevin Durant hadn't spoken to the Nets front office since getting swept. The good news for Brooklyn, again, is that if KD were to leave, it would have to be via trade, as Kevin Durant is signed until the 2025-2026 season, where at that time he'd be 37 years old. Kevin Durant's somewhat lengthy contract is a good look for potential suitors. All of these reports are a complete 180 from the ones that we've seen earlier in this Nets offseason. I saw reports that stated all signs were pointing to Kyrie signing in Brooklyn. Maybe everything going on really is leverage like I stated earlier, or maybe Kai recently spoke on clearing the air with LeBron for a reason. One Horse reported that a couple of years ago when Kyrie was headed to free agency, LeBron James was interested in trying to recruit him to the Los Angeles Lakers, and he reached and attempted to mend fences. It lasted for a short time. When Kyrie didn't choose the Lakers, their relationship went away again. In the comments below, let me know if you guys think that there's any way that Kyrie could possibly find himself in Los Angeles. I really don't have any faith in a deal making it past the preliminary stages, but again, Kyrie's trade value isn't what it used to be. If there's one guy that has effectively sunk their value at a ridiculous rate, it is Kyrie Irving. And if there's one guy that I'd be very skeptical to invest in, even as a Kyrie Irving fan, it's Kyrie Irving. Everything going on in Brooklyn right now is kind of funny, but it's not at the same time. It's funny if you don't have anything invested into the Nets being good, but if you're a fan, you're kind of just sitting there scratching your head wondering what in the world is going on. Maybe you're even detached in a sense. I know when all those Zion rumors started hitting New Orleans, I checked out of that situation as fast as possible. If he stayed, of course I was always going to be happy, but if he wanted to leave, no love lost. It was what it was. Having a dynamic 6'10", 6'11", do-it-all small forward paired with one of the most electric scorers in the game today is supposed to feel like a dream much more than it is a nightmare. Oh, and by the way, this team also has a 6'10", 6'11" point guard that was a former #1 pick, and they had James Harden what was months ago. I knew going into all of this that the Nets were extremely volatile, but I never pictured it getting this bad. And when I say this bad, I mean like with them getting swept in the first round and everything too. Let me know what you guys think Kai's trade value is in the comments below, and what team you would most like to see him playing for next season. And more importantly, let me know what team you would most like to see KD on. I've been seeing Suns fans gas KD to Phoenix, and all I'm going to say is that is interesting. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm Get Like Coop, bringing you guys the scoop. Until our next upload,